everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Before we get started, make sure you have a click on the links below and subscribe and view videos from other associated Transformer reviews. We all need your help, so please don't just view a video, subscribe as well. Doesn't matter if you never view another one, although obviously we'd like you to. It's really important to get those subscribers up. Okay, so on to today's review. We have the Generation 2 Decepticon Dirtbag. As you can see, proudly displayed on the bottom, here's an Autoroller. Sounds like an Autobot, but he's not, he's a Decepticon. But we will come on to how this works later on. So this is one of the final Generation 2 releases. Now, if you've watched the video for Stax, you might be quite wary of collecting something like the Autorollers. Don't be, is my advice for you here. So let's have a look at the box. Well, do you know what? It's a little bit garish. I suppose it perhaps looks slightly more normal in the camera views, but really the colours are quite bright and bold. Not necessarily a bad thing, because it stands out in the shelves. The box itself is actually in really good condition. Here are some of the other characters you can get. So the Autorollers, there's two of them. This guy, who I haven't got, they're called Power Masters here, but they're actually Powered Masters. So you've got 4 in total. And you can tell from the box that this is the guy I was talking about before, who can only point down. Yeah, enough said. And the GoBots as well, actually called GoBots, as by this point Hasbro had bought GoBots too. So what did it tell us about Dirtbag? He is transport. Well, you might have worked that out from there, but nevertheless they feel the need to tell you. Armed with the devastating double-shot missile launcher and a crusher claw, he's a formidable fighter despite his lack of speed. It's long haul again, and given the colour scheme, you might be forgiven for mixing him up with the Constructicon, but he's a different character. So I'm led to believe. Anyway, let's have a look at him, shall we? Open the box. Don't have any instructions with him. I lie. I do have instructions with him. Honestly, you do not need instructions, but here we are. Very simple, as you would expect. We'll come on to those. And that's it. It does have detail telling you all about what you need to do, but you don't need to worry about any of that. So yeah, not bad instructions as they go. So, let's have a look at this mode here. It's actually quite large, really, isn't it? You've got missiles here. You can put these in various positions. They've got a little hole here, and as you can see here, you've got little tabs so they could sit on the inner or the outer. Put them on the outer, shall we, just for fun. They look a little bit ungainly when they're in this mode because they stick out so much there, but it works. Nice wheels, big chunky wheels. Quite a nice frontage. The grille, again, is particularly nice on it. I'm not quite sure. Well, it says T-form, transform. Yeah, not too bad. Quite a nice cab work on it. It runs along very, very nicely indeed. Even underneath it, there's not much indication that this is a Transformer. In terms of construction modes, it's actually very, very good. It's a nice looking bulky robot or construction mode. You compare it with Stax, who actually fits well inside him. So yeah, it's actually a very, very impressive mode. So, rolls along. Now, Autoroller. What does that tell you? Automaton? Auto change? Roll along. It's not pullback, you just push it. Glides very well. The secret is this switch here. So when it's to the left, like it is here, he just drives along. When he's to the right, I'm going to show you it in this mode so you get an idea of how it works. Now, you might hear a ratcheting system. That's how it works, but there we are. Autoroller. Again, now this is very much intended to be like Runabout, Runabuck. Far, far better. Quite a good system, actually. That has changed really well. Robot-wise, do you know what? That's not bad. Let's have a look at it. Head. Yeah, it's quite far back, but quite a realistic head. Wheels come up here. They look pretty good. Legs rolled here. Do you know what? It's a nice Transformer, isn't it? Simple transformation. Well, it's an automatic transformation, but it's a really decent little move. Arms. So you do actually have a good range of mobility here. Considering the fact that this is an auto changer, so you would expect, if we just pop this back to the left, it disengages the auto change function. He does kind of wobble a little bit on there, but you would expect that. Right. Arms, surprisingly good amount of mobility. Considering that these are auto changes, you'd expect them to be fixed. But no, they've got a good range of movement. Missiles, pop out in here. The whole thing about this is all about automation. There's a firing mechanism here. If I aim it at the box, probably not good if you're a collector, but just not going to aim it too much. You just fire. Surprising amount of power for considering you've got next to no bits on here. That whizzed off, so you put them in there, fires off. I'm not going to fire it again. This arm, remember he said that he had a crushing claw. Pull this back and what do you get? Crushing claw. Again, that's surprisingly fast. That's good. You can imagine him kind of going up to you and going, hello. Surprisingly good. In terms of the ratcheting joint, you can see it's all in here. This is what makes him change into truck mode or robot mode. When you want to transform it back, the only disadvantage is you need to make sure that the arms are in the same position they were before, because otherwise everything doesn't slide into place. Oh, it's worth noting, it's got elbows. Look. A Generation 2 character with elbows. Given that this is the last one, they've really made an effort on this, haven't they? So transforming back, disengage this, it goes back the other way, and then you just roll it back. Occasionally, you might just need to give it a little bit of a helping hand, roll it back so it doesn't make any more ratcheting noise, flip this the other way, off on his way. It's a really good design. I confess to being, I'm just reattaching the missiles. I confess to being a little disappointed that you can't actually transform it yourself. It kind of, I don't know, it almost kind of feels like it takes something away a bit, so that you can't do the transformation yourself. But my God, is it a good automated transformation. I actually think this is probably the pinnacle of automated transformation. Even if you look at the one-step changes now, I still think Dirtbag here is probably the best of the best auto roller out there, best automated transformation. It's really good, and the fact that you can engage or disengage it with here, I think really helps, because sometimes you want to roll it on without it going, oh, he's transforming. Other times, you don't. So if you hook it the other way, you actually can roll it along, and it works really well. It's also has the added bonus of, in truck mode, yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's got a good size to it. It doesn't feel compromised by the fact that it's got all this technology going on inside. And the robot mode is surprisingly good. Okay, he hasn't got a hand, so to speak, but he's got good articulation. The missiles fire with real power. The crusher arm is a nice little gimmick to give you something to do. He feels like he's a top-of-the-range transformer. I guess he was the top-of-the-range transformer, bear in mind this is the last lot of releases. Him and his companion, the Autorollers, they were the ones which had the money. Stax is clearly just hey, we've got to recruit some of our money back. What are we going to do? I know, let's make it into a Hot Wheels car. If you can get hold of Dirtbag, or the other Autoroller, unfortunately I've forgotten his name, I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments below, by all means do. They are great. The GoBots, well, I haven't got any GoBots, but I guess they're okay, but they're more the basic range. Powered Masters, only get them if you really, really want to complete the collection, otherwise avoid like the plague. But these guys are great. You would expect technology, bear in mind this is, 95, maybe even 96. By the time these guys came out, you'd expect them to be top of the range Transformers, and they are. In many ways, if this guy had come out in 1984, the original G1, wow, can you imagine if every Transformer was like that, how quick it would be, how much easier it would be for kids to have a mock-up battle with Transformers that you just pushed and they transformed? Would they have been as popular? It's a good question, isn't it? Because part of the enjoyment of Transformers was the ability to transform them. The fact that as a kid you could change them, but your adults couldn't. Parents couldn't change them. With the Autorollers, of course, that's gone, where you just have to push it and they change. It's an interesting gimmick, and it's also noticeable that Hasbro and Takara, for that matter, don't really have that many of these one-step changes anymore. They're not very common in the line, so maybe they're too expensive to make. Maybe it's a gimmick that doesn't work. I don't know. Personally, I like him. As you probably gathered from the video, I think it's probably, well, I don't just think, I know it's definitely the best example of Autoroller I've seen. It's controllable. It doesn't rely on a spring that just goes boing, and there we are. It's either there or it falls over, as with Top Spin and Twin Twist, and for that matter, Run 'em Out and Run Amok. You've got excellent articulation, and the fact that you've got the extra crusher arm, you've got the missiles firing, it just gives it that little bit more playability. A really good Transformer, and I definitely recommend you get hold of them. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next review. Goodbye.